Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. His Majesty the King said Jordan will do its utmost and use all its tools to achieve justice for the two Jordanians who were shot dead by an Israeli embassy staffer. King Abdullah was addressing a National Policy Council meeting which he chaired at Al Husseiniya Palace after he returned home from a trip abroad. He said the Israeli Prime Minister is called upon to live up to his responsibilities and take all legal measures that ensure the trial of the murderer and deliver justice instead of staging a political show over this crime to make personal political gains. Such provocative behavior, which is rejected, His Majesty cautioned, is outrageous for us all and will destabilize the region and feed extremism. His Majesty expressed his condolences to the families of the victims and assured we will not compromise or relinquish any of their rights and the rights of our citizens. He said that Israel's handling of the embassy incident, the killing of Judge Ra'ed Zaiter and other cases will have a direct effect on our relations. His Majesty told the meeting attended by His Royal Highness Crown Prince Hussein, His Royal Highness Prince Faisal, the King's advisor and chairman of the National Policy Council and civic and security officials that Jordan as an abider of international law and diplomatic norms. He said Jordan's efforts in close coordination with the Palestinian Brothers had led to reopening Al-Aqsa Mosque Haram al-Sharif and contained the latest crisis at the Jerusalem Holy Site. His Majesty reiterated the need to respect the historic and legal status quo at the Haram al-Sharif to prevent the recurrence of such crises. Jordan said Israel's cancellation of security measures at Al-Aqsa Mosque Haram al-Sharif is a key and inevitable step to calm tensions in occupied Jerusalem and the West Bank. State Minister for Media Affairs and official government spokesman Mohammed Momeni said the removal of metal detectors, search corridors and CCTV cameras were necessary to maintain the legal and historic status quo in Jerusalem. He said Israel, the occupying power, has no right to impose any measure to alter the status quo. Momeni pointed out the tireless efforts of His Majesty King Abdullah, the custodian of Islamic and Christian holy sites in Jerusalem, and his firm stand against attempts to change the status quo at the Haram al-Sharif, which he undertook in coordination with President Mahmoud Abbas. Momeni also commended Jerusalemites and the mosque guards who steadfastly resisted the latest Israeli moves. The minister voiced the hope that Friday prayers at the Holy Compound tomorrow will proceed normally without provocation or hindrances. Minister of Foreign and Expatriate Affairs Ayman Safadi said Israel has reversed all its unilateral measures in Jerusalem due to the steadfastness of the Palestinian people. He told an emergency Arab foreign ministers meeting in Cairo that Israel had sought to impose new facts on the ground but backed down as it removed metal detectors and cameras at Al-Aqsa Mosque Haram al-Sharif. Safari told the meeting that reopening the holy site followed His Majesty King Abdullah's relentless efforts in coordination with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Safari said a crisis with disastrous consequences had been averted. Any attempt to change the status quo at Al-Aqsa Mosque, he warned, would incite the feelings of hundreds of millions of Muslims across the world. The crisis, Safari added, reminded the world that there will be no security and stability in the Middle East without a just solution to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
وإلغاء كل الإجراءات الأحادية التي اتخذتها منذ 14 من تموز الجاري في خرق واضح لالتزاماتها الدولية بصفتها القوة القائمة بالاحتلال.
Safadi briefed the Arab foreign ministers on His Majesty the King's efforts that prompted Israel to rescind its moves at Al-Aqsa Mosque. He met with Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Ghait and the ministers of Algeria, Egypt, Kuwait and Palestine on the sidelines of the Arab foreign ministers' extraordinary meeting in Cairo. Arab officials praised Jordan's efforts and its leadership to maintain the historical and legal status quo in Jerusalem. In a final statement after the Cairo meeting called for by Jordan, the Arab foreign ministers condemned Israel's unilateral measures in occupied East Jerusalem as null and void. The statement commended efforts by His Majesty King Abdullah in facing the Israeli practices at the Jerusalem holy site. Meanwhile, the Palestinian government noted Jordan's efforts in support of the steadfastness of Jerusalemites and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Lower House Speaker Atif Tarawna said Israel's repeated violations cannot be tolerated and should be resisted by all means. In remarks at the opening session of the 25th Emergency Conference of the Arab Interparliamentary Union in Rabat, Morocco, Tarawna warned that giving in to the occupation's designs will have dire consequences on the entire region. Tarawna pointed to the Hashemite custodianship of the Muslim and Christian holy sites in Jerusalem and Jordan's historical and religious responsibility toward Holy Jerusalem. Members of Parliament also praised His Majesty's efforts that led Israel to revoke security measures at Al-Aqsa Mosque. In a memorandum signed by 85 lawmakers, which was addressed to His Majesty King Abdullah, the deputies noted that Jordan's diplomacy had put pressure on Israel to back down from all the unilateral steps taken to change the status quo of Al-Aqsa Mosque. In occupied East Jerusalem, dozens of Palestinians were injured after clashes with Israeli forces broke out at the Al-Aqsa Mosque grounds. An Israeli special security force stormed the compound and attacked worshippers who had just entered through the Hatta gate in the old town of Jerusalem. The Palestinian Red Crescent reported that their staff had treated over 60 injuries. Israeli forces used tear gas, rubber-coated metal bullets and stun grenades against the worshippers. 100,000 Palestinians were reported to have entered the mosque after its reopening following days of protest against the Israeli closure of the compound. His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Hussein, the regent, received Egyptian Prime Minister Sharif Ismail, who is leading his country's delegation to the joint Jordanian-Egyptian Higher Committee meeting in Amman. The meeting, which was attended by Prime Minister Hani Molki, focused on means to forge closer cooperation between the two countries in various fields and activate agreements and sign memorandums. Prince Faisal spoke about Jordan's efforts to find a quick solution to the crisis at Jerusalem's Haram al-Sharif and fully open the mosque to worshippers. His Highness said Jordan and Egypt should maintain coordination on various regional issues and challenges. Jordan and Egypt agreed to further boost ties in all domains and implement all agreements signed between the two countries. Prime Minister Hani Molki and his Egyptian counterpart Sharif Ismail, who co-chaired meetings of the joint Jordanian-Egyptian Higher Committee, said they saw eye to eye on various challenges facing the Middle East, including terrorism and the need to fight extremism. The two agreed to set up a Jordanian-Egyptian consultative investment board comprising businessmen from various industries. They also discussed ways to enhance cooperation in the fields of tourism, culture, water, information and communications technology, energy, media, security, customs, and small and medium enterprises. And finally, it will be relatively warm tonight. Tomorrow, a drop in temperature is in the forecast with a high of 35 degrees Celsius in Amman. The Gulf of Aqaba should expect a hot night and a very hot day tomorrow with 42 degrees, light winds and calm seas. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Leo Balkar and have a lovely weekend.